I always had this visual. By the time when we did 6, I'd already started to kind of form that. So I kind of knew in my mind where I wanted to go by, the later episodes. So yeah, in my mind, I already had an end point. What happened was that at some point in the process, Geeta was on board, who directs, I think she does 8 and 10 or something like that. And she'd had a talk with Miguel, and they come up with this idea that Viserys is very gaunt. It's almost like cancerous how he's deteriorated. And we spoke about this because, my dad died of cancer, and I literally watched him go to a kind of a skeleton. It's an awful thing to have to watch. And what that meant then was that, it went more extreme than I'd imagined, but that was really, really helpful, because by the end of Viserys' kind of life, he's just in agony. He's barely existing. He's basically on opium, and he's not living anymore. He's not doing duty anymore. And also, what I brought to that was there's some people, and I think my mother, God bless her, who I adored, I think she was sick pretty much all of my life, as I remember. And to the point where she eventually went blind. She lost both her legs, and it was diabetes, but she neglected herself. I think a lot of onus was put on us as children that, we'd neglected her, but I don't think she had much love for herself at some point. I think she neglected herself, and ultimately that's a tragic thing. I think my mum started to become her illness. And I think sometimes when people get sick, I'm not saying it's an excuse, but it means that they don't have to face certain things, that they can use their illness as a shield to go, well, I don't do that, and I don't go there, and I don't. And then they start to sort of disappear. And I saw that with my mother. And it's a really sad thing to see, because you do want to help somebody, but the hardest thing is when somebody's beyond it. Is just beyond help, like they've mentally just given up. So I took that as a way of kind of looking at that with my mother and kind of exercising that sort of thing. Well, not even exercising it, but just exploring it. So I took that element of my mother and her love, because she was a very loving person, and I put that in Viserys, that how tactile he is, and how he has grandchildren and he kisses them, and I wanted that affection and that love to be in him, because I think that's a really powerful thing. So I put that into Viserys, because at some point he starts to do that. He actually says, I don't deal with these things anymore. Alicent and Otto deal with them, and he's almost high on the milk of the poppy that they have, and it's just pushed it all away, and he can't do it anymore. And I think that's part of him. He wants to die. I think he gets to a point in his life anyway where he wants to die. And I always had an image in my head when he died of what vision he saw. And I tried to share it with Geeta, and I don't know if it was properly understood, because it wasn't within story context. But when he died, the last thing that he sees that takes him through is obviously Emma, who you know what I mean? So that was my thing for dying. It was like, finally I can leave this world, and I can be with you, and my pain is now over. So, well, that's not expressed in words. I think it's something that I just held inside me as a motivation through those scenes,